Well, good morning. We're not going to be having music this morning because our musician, Jayanti, has had some surgery and she's not quite recovered yet. You can't hear? Oh, can everyone hear now? Okay. Sometimes I get away from the microphone. Many of you may have recognized the title of the song that I'm going to be talking about today. It was written in the 60s and appeared on Broadway in the 70s. It's called To Dream the Impossible Dream. Many of you may have heard it in your life, maybe not. Somehow it got stuck in my head, and I wondered why it was stuck in my head. So I'm going to read it to you first because I can't sing, okay? You would all leave if I started singing. Okay. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear the unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave fear to go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star, no matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause, to be willing to march into hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I'll only be true to this glorious quest, that my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. And the whole world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable star. So once I read all of the words and just didn't get the first little line out of my head, I looked at this song or poem, whichever you'd like to call it, and I thought, really, it is very, very Vedantic in a sense. We're setting a goal for life. The first part of this poem is setting the goals that we want to strive for in our life. To dream the impossible dream, to fight, to bear, to run. Then we state our conviction, how we are going to stick to this, our prescribed goals, the goals that we'd hope to reach. And the last section talks about faith, how we all have to stick to our goals with the faith that we can conquer. Everyone needs that faith to survive in life, to flourish in life. All of these things, nothing is impossible in this life, as we know from Swamiji and Ramakrishna. Everything is possible because who are we? Who are we really? We are the Atman. We are already divine. We don't know it. So what's the impossible dream? Think of anything that you would think would be impossible. The one that I stuck on was when I was young, and I was raised Episcopalian, and we were reading the Sermon on the Mount. And the statement, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." Now, when you're 9 or 10, you went, what does God look like? And it was pretty amorphous. I mean, I knew all of the pictures of Jesus. But what does God look like? Well, we all have to find out for ourselves. But it sounds impossible. But somehow that stuck in my mind for the rest of my life. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So how do you purify your heart? And I believe that this is entirely possible. Nothing is impossible in this life. So if my goal, and we all have to set our own, is to see God, who do I want to see? Well, we have many, many examples of what we consider are incarnations of God. We have Jesus, we have Buddha, we have the Indian pantheon, which is endless. We have the Divine Mother, we have Krishna, we have Rama, we have all sorts of, or examples of incarnations of God. Now, they are all exactly the same. I read a description of that. God is always the same. It's as if all of these incarnations are inside a gigantic blue dome. And there's pinholes in the dome that we can look through. According to our version of Vedanta, at this moment, the pinhole most of us are standing next to is the one that shows Ramakrishna's life and how he embodied how we can achieve all of these goals. We tend not to have faith in it. We tend to doubt it. But how many times do we have to be told? How many times do we have to read? How many times can people who have actually seen God, how many times do they have to tell us, yes, it's possible, before we honestly believe that we can do it? I mean, Jesus said, as he said, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. He also said, I and my Father are one. Ramakrishna, when asked by Swami Vivekananda, have you seen God? Answered, yes, more clearly than I see you. Now, just imagine for a couple of minutes what it would be like if you could see, and I mean see in the same sense that we see what we're looking at right now. Maybe not with these eyes, with spiritual eyes, but if we could see our chosen ideal of God, our personification of God. Brother Lawrence did. He walked with Jesus every day. He was his constant companion. There's examples also in the Ramakrishna Vedanta history. Gopalarma, who was an uneducated widow in India, but she constantly saw the baby Gopala, who was her chosen ideal. She felt his presence physically. He was a baby, the baby Gopala, so he was yanking on her sari, pulling at her, causing disruption in all of her daily affairs. But it was a tangible, real experience. Now, we also had an old song, which was Swami Prabhavananda's, one of his favorite songs. I walk through the garden alone while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the Son of God discloses. And and he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I'm his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. When you have people who tend to be mystics and can experience these things in the same intensity as they experience what we're us sitting here in the temple, listening to someone ramble on. Mystics have these visions and they have these experiences. This is what Vedanta is. It's the mystical portion of the Vedas, the Upanishads, how we can, each one of us, experience God. It's a little easier, as Ramakrishna said, to experience God as a personal God. It's a little amorphous when you say, I want to experience God. What is our idea? I want to experience Brahman. Okay. I want to experience Om. As one of our very senior Swamis said, he was initiated by Swami Shivananda, and he was given a mantra. And he told Shivananda, which is pretty awesome in the fact that you tell your guru, I think I'm going to meditate on Om. And Swami Shivananda looked at him and he says, okay. And so he walked by this very revered Swami, who we later met. And he said, well, how are you and Om getting along? And by that time, he had gone back to meditating upon his chosen ideal. Now, we each have a different chosen ideal. We don't all have to worship exactly the same aspect of God. You all have your own idea. You have the one that appeals to you the most, and that's the one that you can relate to. This is the path, basically, of bhakti yoga. As Ramakrishna said, it was the easiest path for this age. Now, I was challenged yesterday by a visitor, why do we want to take the easiest path? Well, let me tell you, the easy path isn't easy. And the hard path of denying everything as unreal and impermanent is almost impossible for most of us as long as we experience our mind and our body. As soon as you know you are your mind, or your mind is leading you, you're not a jnani. You have identified with a body-mind complex that is not eternal. So, when Ramakrishna said, loving God, loving a chosen ideal, putting your emotions there, putting all of your actions every day. Now, this sounds easy, but is it? When you're driving down the freeway and someone cuts you off, or you hit that section where you have to divide the freeway and you're going in the wrong, and you're thinking words that you shouldn't be speaking, but you're going. Are you identified with Maya, with this changeable world? Yes, because we are experiencing it with our mind and body. How do we stop doing that? We're going to feed our body every day. We're going to rest it. We're going to walk it. We're going to take care of it. We're going to clothe it. We're going to clean it. But do it all as if you were doing it for your chosen ideal. Give your body the food that you would give to your chosen ideal, be it Jesus, be it Ramakrishna, but offer that food first to God, then to your body. When in this day and age we are almost totally, I would say, well, not totally, because there are many people looking for something outside. We are so totally involved with lust, the body, its functions, its exercise, its food. We think of everything in keeping it healthy to the point of we spend a good portion of our day doing this. And we do. As we get older, you have to, or it's going to fall apart. But if we can do that all as a worship, my body is a temple of God. I'm only taking care of it. I'm not trying to make it last longer. I'm not trying to make it more beautiful, make it conform to what society says it should look like. I want it healthy so that I can take my mind and put my mind on God. I want to put my mind on God. Then we have to overcome our minds. Okay, but I've kind of gotten off. The reason I picked this song was So if we set the impossible dream, as I say, for me, is seeing God. It is possible. Everyone can do it. You can take that God realization. It is possible. You have to become aware of oneness, where you are not separate from anything or anyone. Okay. And how do we do that? Who is the unbeatable foe? The unbeatable foe is our egos. Because no matter how hard we try to identify with the oneness, the universality of the entire existence, our ego comes forth and says, no, I want to do this. I'm separate. I'm important. I think this. And our egos are our strongest foe. Because no matter what we do, we have to look at it again and say that it's going to pop up no matter what you do. Every time you try and stop try and redirect your ego or quash it, it's going to pop up. It's like, what's that stuff that we used to have as kids? No matter where you squeezed it, there was always coming out of another place. Yeah. That's it. So our unbeatable foe is our ego, which we have to work on every single day. Why does this song say we have to bear the unbearable sorrow? What is that unbearable sorrow? To my mind, it's the lack of God knowledge, the constant feeling, no matter how much we attain in our life in this body-mind complex, that there's always more. There's something more that I'm missing. What is it? And that, what is it, is the knowledge of our real self, our Atman. So that is, I can't say it's, well, when we feel that missing, yes, it's an unbearable sorrow because we want to fill that space. We want to fill that hole, that God hole that we think we have. It's really not, it's not a hole there. We are God. So all we have to do is remove our unbeatable foe, the ego, and identify with our real self. We have so many, to run where the brave fear to run. Where is that? I was reading a book the other day and it said uncertainty is the most frightening, destabilizing place to be. Uncertainty. How well do we face uncertainty? What am I gonna? Is the world going to be okay? Am I going to lose my job? How's the stock market going? All this uncertainty is coming at us constantly. But in this book that I was reading, it is also the most highly creative place we can be because it makes you think of alternatives. And how does it do that? How can you overcome this fear of uncertainty? Well, they say, simply, curiosity and hard work. You have to be curious and you have to work really hard at whatever solution you think you can come up with. And they couple it with faith and the energy to be there, to conquer uncertainty. Now, I don't know, some of you may disagree with that. It hit me, I had never thought about it. So I thought, uncertainty, yeah. It makes everyone a little squeamish. The way we look at these things that are going on with uncertainty, we have to use our discrimination and our discrimination and self-analysis. What will we bother to pursue? What kind of direction will we take? Now, according to the Katha Upanishad, this is life. Every single moment of our lives, we are given choices, and we have to make the choices. Even getting up in the morning is a choice. Okay, do I have coffee or do I have tea? Do I exercise before I meditate? All of these are choices. Do I walk the dog before or after breakfast? Now, these are all very mundane choices. But we have big choices in our life. And these choices are the ones that shape our character and our entire direction in life. Because they're the ones that we have to, is this something that's going to lead me closer to my goal? And as I say, my goal is to see God. Does it purify my heart? Or is it just pleasant? Is it a distraction that will be a lot of fun today? And oftentimes the choice is not the easy one. But as Ramakrishna said, Bhakti Yoga is the easiest for this lifetime. It's not. You still have to do the work. You have to work hard and you have to have faith and you have to know where you're going. I was going over I was reading some other things and saw a movie, Selma came up. Did any of you remember seeing Selma? Martin Luther King. Now that man went in the face of all discouragement and hopelessness, and he kept to what he knew was right. He died for it, yes. But as this thing said, I will die, and the world will be a better place, because one man stuck to his beliefs. I believe that. What is the unrightable wrong? Well, that's Maya. There's no chance we're going to explain it. There's no chance we're going to fix it. Because we really can't explain what it is. How did it start? Where did it come from? What is it? Shankara says it is an illusion, a dream. Okay. But we are experiencing it every single day. We're living in it. So is it unreal? Yes, in the ultimate sense, it is unreal. It's like when you go to sleep at night and you have a dream and you wake up. It's gone. The dream is gone. Now, everyone who has realized God at some point or other says, as soon as you realize the truth, you realize the Atman, you realize the dream will be gone. That's it. It will cease to exist. At this point, I take that on faith. They have gone before us. They have gone where we have not gone yet. And I'm saying yet because everyone will. But to have faith in any person or philosophy that can show you the way to realize these things is not a weakness, as someone said. Well, can't you? You're supposed to do it all yourself. For me to think that, yes, I have to do it myself, but I'll take any help I can get, and I will definitely surrender to a higher knowledge where I know I can't do everything. We have to, it's like that state. There's a higher power than we are. There's a much higher power, and we have to be able to surrender to that higher power in order to lose our egos. Now, it's interesting to me that they put into love pure and chaste from afar. Why was that in this song? Because this is unselfish love, selfless love. It's love for love's sake, which is your basic nature. Everyone's basic nature is to love. Now, when we get into the ego sense and we want bargaining, to love and be loved, to I love you this much, so you should love me this much. I did this for you. This is bargaining. This is not pure love. And to have a pure heart and pure love, you must love without expectation, without motive, just for the sake of loving, because it is your nature. And I think everyone knows that from, well, I don't know. Anytime you feel the start of love, you know what that feeling is. Now, to have that first flush continue without any expectations is what I think we all hope to do. I was asking someone what they felt was the impossible dream. And they answered with the joke, the perfect man or the perfect woman. The only place that I think we can find that is God. Because all of us have imperfections. They're innate in our very nature. Okay. Once you have made your purpose in life, your goals in life, and we all have to have them. We have to have them in business. We have to have them in relationships. We have to have them in family life. What is our goal? Is it to... It used to be to get a job, stick with the job, and retire in the same company. Not anymore. But we all have to have a goal. It makes life much easier to know where you're going. Now, you can have the impossible goals of God realization, which is not impossible. It is entirely possible. It's not going to be easy because it will not give you immediate satisfaction. You will have to postpone your satisfaction and postpone your enjoyment for the greater goal. Now, when I was first encountered Vedanta, and I heard the word renunciation, you have to renounce this, renounce that. And the Swamis, I know they were quoting the direct disciples, said, but what am I renouncing? I'm renouncing all these little tiny toys for something so much greater. You're the one who's the real renunciate because you are going after all the toys and missing the whole point. I will have everlasting joy. You will have momentary joy. And that made quite a bit of sense because I never liked the word renunciation. I thought sublimation was much better. Change the direction of our mind. Sublimate things. Change that direction. Instead of wanting the tiny things, change what you want. and go after what you want, but do that. Then they reach the point in this song to go on when your arms are too heavy. This is when everyone, when they start spiritual life, has many encouraging experiences. They have a good meditation. They have a hint of what realization will be. They haven't had it yet, but they have all these wonderful, a joy that burps up when you sit down to meditate. And then comes the hard work. You have gotten glimpses of what is possible. But the hard work comes and you don't get those glimpses anymore. And things become, they can become a daily drudge. Just like all of life can be when we take away the purpose from it. When we lose our purpose and we start going through things mechanically, everything becomes a drudge. If we can cultivate that initial enthusiasm, and it's hard. It's hard. You go in to sit down and meditate after 20 years, and some days it's just, that's normal. It's not something to worry about. You just have the faith that you keep doing it. You keep filling your mind with God, and that will take you past all of this. And it can be extremely tiresome. But everyone who has accomplished anything in life, be it excellence in sports, be it excellence in business, they have all gone through the part where it is just hard work, with the faith that they will accomplish what they set out to do. We have to maintain the faith in ourselves and in what we have learned from other people and from reading. We must maintain that faith. And that's the hard part for many people, because doubting, well, look, even Jesus' disciple Thomas, when Jesus appeared to them after when he was resurrected, and Thomas wanted to feel the nail holes. And he said, even now, Thomas? Even now? So doubt is not uncommon. It's not wrong. It just is. But we try to quell our doubts by maintaining our faith in what are other things. I mean, I remember reading that when I was very young. And I thought, golly, if Thomas, who's lived with Jesus, can still doubt what he said, then I don't have to be so upset with myself if I doubt. But I've got to try not to. We have to maintain the faith. And it's not a faith that, it's not a Pollyanna faith. It's not one that says everything's going to be, everything's fine. Yes, it's going well. Sometimes it doesn't. And there's nothing wrong with saying, no, look at all the other saints in the Christian tradition. The dark night of the soul. They all went through phases where it was very, very difficult. Teresa of Avila, St. John of the Cross, the dark night of the soul, where they almost lose faith. Look at even the life of Jesus when he went into the desert, and they called it fighting the devil, but I call it fighting your ego and fighting your doubts, but that is the devil. Ramakrishna, when he didn't get the vision of the Divine Mother, the living vision, he threatened to kill himself. I will kill myself if I don't get your vision. But how many of us have that kind of faith and determination that we know that we're going to achieve what we want to achieve, no matter what? But we must be willing to make all the sacrifices necessary to get there. That was like willing to go into hell for a heavenly cause. Not for any cause, but for a heavenly righteous cause. We have people that do that every day. I mean, and we in Santa Barbara see them every day. I look at our firemen who go into raging infernos to save us. And they do it knowingly and unselfishly. People do this constantly. We don't know all of them. We don't say they're saints. The ones that become well-known we call saints. I remember when I was in Hawaii, Father Damien took my fancy. I think I've always had this thing about. And Father Damien was the leper. He went to the leper colony on Molokai. And he gave the sermon every Sunday morning. He was a Catholic priest. And he always prayed for his congregation. And one day he said that he was praying for us. And everyone there knew that he had then caught leprosy, where he died. This is the person who has the faith to go into hell for a heavenly cause, to help others. People do it constantly. We think it's unique. We think it's something that people have to think about. No. One of my favorite ones is the man in the New York in the subway. And he saw someone fall, and he threw himself on top of the person that fell and held them under so that the train went over them, and both of them survived. But without thinking. This is identification with the whole, where you are not a separate individual. You are part of everyone. Of course, my thing was, I wonder what I would do. I might run. I don't know. None of us know what we would do until tested. None of us know. But we can constantly try to instill the characteristics of the person we would like to be, the person we know we are. With every day of our lives, we can cultivate those characteristics of our ideal self, which is the Atman. We're not separate from Brahman, or Atman and Brahman are one. But how do we get closer to knowing that? Well, as one of our very senior Swamis, Swami Asheshananda, used to say, and he was quoting one of the direct disciples also, today's imagination is tomorrow's realization. If we can consciously imagine ourselves as our best being, or constantly imagine that Jesus or Buddha or Ramakrishna is always with us, then we would behave in a certain way, right? I remember there was that huge thing, what would Jesus say? What would Jesus do? If we put that in our minds, what would Buddha do? And reshape our daily decisions about our directions. Those things become habitual. And what they do is they don't erase. They form new channels in our mind, on our brain, whatever you want to. I'm kind of brain, heart, they're all sort of, we have to deal with them, and I'm not so much on the physical. So we put those new ruts in, we form new samskaras, and we consciously stop feeding the old ones. The old ones, which are jealousy, comparison, greed, lust, we stop feeding them, because the more we concentrate on them, the deeper we dig them. And we're going to have to deal with them even more than if we start replacing them or going in a new direction. And lastly, in that song, when they say, I've lost it, just one sec. The world will be better for this, that one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach that unreachable star. Now, we all know this. I mean, people who have died for causes, the saints who have died for causes, Jesus on the cross, Buddha with a poison arrow, Ramakrishna, the scourge of this age, cancer. That's what he died of. He didn't escape the scourge of, the modern age. And a very painful kind of cancer. But they rose above all of that. They were not that. They were not identified with that. And as I say, the world will be a better place. Now, we have heard, too, from many people, if one man in a cave up in the mountains, in the Himalayas, realizes God, the whole world will benefit from that, because that is raising consciousness. And the more each and every one of us tries to raise our consciousness, tries to identify with our Atman, works toward identification and not, as I say, removing the veils that cover our art, the whole world benefits. Because we can help everyone in the world that we can. But the only thing we can really change or really revise is ourselves. And if we can make each one of us make ourselves into the godlike person, the person that is the unselfish person, the person who helps others, thinks of others first, the person who spreads peace, the person who is at peace in themselves, then we do influence the entire world. Because the world is made up of all these multitude of little jivas and people. But if every single person were trying to cultivate the peace and the God within them, we would, I think, be a much happier society. We would be more cooperative. It's never going to be perfect, because everyone's at a different stage in life. Nothing is going to be perfect. The only thing you can perfect is yourself. So don't think you're going to fix the world. As they used to say, it's the dog's curly tail. Have you ever tried to straighten out a dog's curly tail? Well, it doesn't straighten out. You can pull it straight. Yeah. It will never be. It will continually be Maya, which is the pairs of opposites, all of that stuff. They will always exist in this plane. But you can change your being. You can identify with your real self. And that is, I'm going to quote one last quote, and then I'm going to stop talking. This is one of the Swamis who he was in Boston and Providence. And he said, real spirituality, which in Vedanta we call vijnana, going beyond knowledge, is to accept everything, to deny nothing, and not to separate spiritual and secular life, but turn everything into spiritual life. So every moment of your day is your spiritual life, which I think is what the poem meant when the world will be a better place if we each did that. Okay? And no music again. So, and I forgot to, okay. The announcements that we had a really good Karma Yoga Day yesterday. We had a lot of, it was interesting. Mostly all men showed up yesterday, and some students from UCSB, which is not the usual, but they got a lot accomplished. So Wednesday this week at 5 o'clock in the temple, we'll continue reading God Lived with Them. We're reading the lives of the direct disciples of Ramakrishna. And right now we're on Swami Bhagyanananda, who was the last direct disciple that was president of the order. That's at 5 o'clock. You're welcome to come. It's on Zoom and YouTube also. Saturday, we'll have Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna at 5 o'clock here in the temple. And I hope Swami Chidbrahmananda will be back. He had to go to Atlanta this week, and I was watching the news, and the Atlanta airport doesn't look that cool right now. So we'll see if he gets home. We'll have the reading anyway. Next Sunday will be Swami Mahayogananda, and he'll be giving a spiritual talk. He hasn't decided on the topic yet, but he will be talking. Okay, and I think that's it. So we'll end with a slight chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. All of you enjoy the rest of your weekend too. I just heard that you have tomorrow. Everyone gets tomorrow off. I didn't know that.